What's up, everybody? Listen, yeah, I finished my first season, but I had to come back. This is a special edition of the Brian Reveal Show, and this is the hip hop, rap, gangster rap special edition. So go get you something to drink, get comfortable, call your friends, share, text, email, go knock on your neighbor's door, right? Because we got some conversation that you're definitely going to want to hear. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Brian Reveal Show. Today's topic, which, first of all, I got to say, I'm a huge hip hop head. So anybody who knows me knows that this particular topic, there's no way I could run away from this conversation. But also, if you know me, you know that this is something that we're going to do a deep dive on, right? Today, we have a special guest, author Marquise Trent, who is the author of a brand new book, right? Overstanding, a comprehensive look at gangster rap, its subgenres, their effect on their effect on our generation. So this book, I got to tell you, this is an incredible read. It dives deep into so many different parallels that I really think that we are sort of dealing with, that we're sort of engaged with today at a societal, psychological, systemic level. But before we get into this incredible book, let me introduce you. Let me give you a light sort of overview, right, of this man's background, accomplishments. Number one, starting with this incredible book, right? I want y'all to go pick it up. But Marquise Trent is from Richmond, VA. He's a husband, a father, and more importantly, a man of faith. But he, in addition to those exceptional titles, he's also an entrepreneur, a business owner, an actor, a music artist, an author, an activist, and an advocate. He's an empowerment speaker, a minister, and a U.S. Army vet. Welcome to the party, Marquise.
Oh man, what's the business? How you doing, Brian? I appreciate the opportunity, man. Thank you.
Absolutely. So those were some high level, I'd say, facets of who you are, the different roles, the different ways that you show up in life and various different communities around the world. Tell everybody else a little bit more about you.
Yeah, man. Like you said, born and raised in Richmond, Virginia, and the surrounding counties. My background is extensive. I like to tell people I can relate because I've been on so many sides of the fence. As you see, joined the military at 17, literally straight out of high school. I was in basic training, right into AIT. Then over my first tour overseas, came home for a couple of years, right back over there. But before then, ran the streets, did those things. that I wasn't supposed to do, as a part of the culture. My story, my signature speech is raised good, but the streets bad. And as I began to talk to so many more people, that's a common theme. As blacks in America, in the general sense, we come from a Southern Baptist type of background, what the slaves used to get through the hard times. So many of us come from that overall background, mama or grandma or somebody, but the pull of the streets is a vortex, single parent home. I do know my father, but they were separated, so I was born into dysfunction, as most of us were. Family was a strong unit. A lot of my family I did not know. I'm getting to know more, um, but they poured a lot into me. They poured a lot into me. I saw things I shouldn't. I heard things I shouldn't. But it's a part of life in America and life in Richmond. So I got partners just doing extensive prison sentences, as in the book. That's one of my close friends there, and other partners, and I ran with these guys, but there was something I always felt special inside of me that I was called to do. So that's what I'm doing. So, a part of my story and my drive is living for these guys so that their legacy, so to speak, even though it was kind of terroristic
Right.
to many degrees,
Hmm.
I want them to see, like, I'm gonna put on for you, bro. It's all good. So
Absolutely, absolutely. So again, today we're taking a deep dive into the book Overstanding. Again, I'm sorry, Volume One. Actually, there's more to come.
yeah,
Overstanding Volume One. Let me make sure that you'll see this. I got to feature this book right, and this is a again Overstanding Volume One, a comprehensive look at gangster rap, its subgenres, and their effect on our generations. So, in reading this book and sort of, just kind of dissecting it myself, first of all, I appreciate how this book is read, right? I appreciate how you read this book or how an individual would pick up this book because to me, it seems like a study guide. I like that. I like that you have written and composed this book that way because you have the content itself. And then it's almost like you have this checkpoint with yourself based on the chapter, based on the focus. And I like how the positioning of the questions are because the way that I read it was okay, yes, you're kind of asking about what you read or what you were able to dissect, but it also sort of positions and layers those questions as well. I really appreciate that because if you are again, this is for students of hip hop, right? This is for someone who's want to be nosy or something like that. Yes, that too, right?
yeah.
If you want to learn, but I think if you truly are a fan of hip hop, the way that this book is constructed and written is like did you know as much as you thought you knew about this
Mm,
culture,
I
this
appreciate
this 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 offering, right? So just in terms of how this book is written and the content itself, what inspired you to write this book?
Yeah, man. So it goes back to the first book. Just like I said, a part of my testimony, man. Just running the streets and living the lifestyle of an urban youth, in general. Doing the things that I did, seeing the things that I saw. And as I said, I'm a man of faith. So although I came up in the Baptist faith, speaking from a religious standpoint, just to give context, uh, I didn't see what I learned more of what God is, and those living right and all that. I just saw religious stuff. So to me, it was more easy to, as they say, jump off the porch and get into everything that I was doing: guns, money, drugs, women. You know, that was life. But when I turned my life around the first time in 2000 and like going into 2009, I caught a federal charge and like, around that time, I don't want to give too many days, but I caught a Fed charge that given my criminal background should have given me a prison sentence, but it didn't. So that's when I saw, as I like to say, the hand of God on my personal life. Never told on nobody, never read it, never wore wires, like the true street stuff that happens that people don't want to talk about. I didn't turn on anybody. I just got that grace and mercy in my life, so I didn't get that prison sentence. So I started trying to right my wrongs. You know what I'm saying? That was what kind of led me in that life. Fast forward a couple years later, 2012, um, I was back on that same path because I went back in the streets and did all that for a number of years. But around 2012, going into 13, I was like, man, let me start writing about all this crazy stuff that I was doing, all this crazy stuff that I've been learning about the music. And I thought I was just writing. Little did I know I was writing my first book, which was a 500-page nonfiction called Weapons of Mass Destruction, which was the groundwork and the father of Overstanding. So people would read the book and they was like, bro, I'm glad you talk about heavy metal and all this stuff is good, but you need to deal with our people, bro. You need to talk about our people. And I was like, oh, and I heard it so many different times. I said, well, let me focus in on what I know firsthand. And that was these streets and gangster rap. So I started penning the realities of what happens in our culture, the death, the murder, the promiscuity, the teenage pregnancies, everything that's a part of our lives, and how I don't agree with what we're experiencing and what I believe can be done to change that. So I wrote Overstand.
Absolutely. Okay. You know, in the title, you know, it's pretty clear that gangster rap stands out, right? It stands out more than I think, you know, any other particular genre. Can you level set and give everyone what your definition of gangster rap is?
Yes. Gangster rap is the genre of music specifically from a gangster's perspective. And it's one of those interesting things because, as I said in the book, crime is not new. Violence, promiscuity, prostitution, drug use, none of those things are new. But I believe that gangster rap, it glorifies it. It's one thing in my perspective to tell a story, but as I said at an event earlier, how are you using this story and the reality to benefit lives? When you have music that glorifies shooting down somebody else's son, brother, cousin, or strong arming somebody's daughter and taking her, you know, vagina and, you know, doing when you it's glorification. So gangster rap to me is the telling of the story from the perspective of a gangster, and then in our life in this situation, blanketing the culture with this mindset. To me now, gangster rap in and of itself has become an entire mindset. It don't matter the farthest suburbs to the deepest inner city. The mindset of gangsterism, I don't give a F, and all of that, that's what has enveloped the entire culture, really. So I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, that's a great definition. You know, for me, gangster rap has been synonymous with NWA, Snoop, right? So gangster rap was much more, as a matter of fact, I never even make the connection that gangster rap was connected to East Coast, right? But when it was marketed, just like you said, it was marketed the East Coast, West Coast beef, then I kind of, you know, brought the East Coast into that particular paradigm because coming up, you know what it was about, what you're going to get into. I think one of the things, just kind of moving into like a different space here, I think that one of the things that you did for me that was very profound was to level set in terms of systems and how marketing is effective. And the example that you gave was the Russia involvement in World War II and the MI6, right? And it was all based on this agenda to kill people of their own, you know, country. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
How and it was much more of like a behind the scenes function. One of the things that you did to draw parallels was you referenced the book The Great Hack, which is on Netflix. Absolutely. Can you talk a little bit about how that relates to hip hop or gangster rap?
Yeah. Absolutely. So one thing, and I love that you're open-minded, and that's what I encourage people. I'm not trying to force feed you anything. I'm a wordsmith, and I paint pictures, and I let you see the picture and make your own choice. So when you look at the reality of agendas, because people say, this stuff ain't, come on, man, y'all wearing 10-4 hats. Don't nobody believe in that type of stuff. Well, I like to say a conspiracy is a conspiracy until the action is committed. It's only a conspiracy to commit murder until they actually shoot the man down, then it's an actual murder. So when you have historical evidence that we can reference that people in power have actually manipulated situations and created situations like they call the Hegelian dialectic, where you start an issue, provide the solution. You started the problem, then you provided the solution to bring about your desired change. Well, that's what we have here. So you had the Russians who actually instituted those actions and lied about it for many, many, many years. You know what I'm saying? Even so far as to build memorials and everything. When I read that, that was painful because I'm like, y'all would go to these lengths to deceive your own people. That's powerful. So when you see The Great Hack, I don't know if it's still available. When I saw The Great Hack, I was blown away. And there was a documentary where some people had come out from a company called, I forgot, the company escapes me right now. Mm-hmm. But long story short, there was a company that was actually established that gathered data from Facebook, these data points. Listen carefully, y'all. All of the activities that we do as people on Facebook is studied from a human behavioral science standpoint and a social engineering standpoint. I'm very serious about words. Listen, social engineering. So you structure the society of people by studying data points. So they studied the data points and they use targeted ads to sway the mindset of people to make specific choices. So the Brexit, for those who may not know, Great Britain exiting the Union of Europe, they utilize this software and technology to bring that about. So when you see the capabilities of technology and social engineering from behind the scenes, you can see the reality. Because I like to suppose the gangster rap situation because most people won't readily just swallow it. But once you see the reality of the crack epidemic, the recession, niggas with attitudes coming out, all of that simultaneously, it hit the urban cities like a hurricane, and we haven't recovered since.
Well, that's pretty powerful. I think that for me, everything has an agenda per se, but to know that, you know, your own country where you pay taxes is a co-conspirator in your demise, I think is a pretty powerful sort of awakening to really understand how to navigate within that system, because you can't dismantle it. All you can do is try to do what we're doing right now and let people know what's going on, right? Pull the curtains back and see Oz, and, you know, hey, you know, it is what it is there. One of the things also, speaking about agenda and the influence, the tools of influence and the instruments, the science behind it. You also mentioned in the book what's called moderate noise level, which is basically a sweet spot for creativity. So when you are, or when an artist is creating music, you know, I think that's one of the things about it that kind of makes it a little bit more, how can I say this? Yes, agenda-based, but also the science and the intention behind it. That's the word I wanted to. Michael Jackson did that a lot with his music. And I hate to use her as a reference, but Beyonce did it with that Single Lady song. Because when you hear it, it's like, what is that? You know, it's like it's not really music, but it's the repetition, it's the frequency, the megahertz, and it's the it's the music structure behind those things. And if music is played, as you mentioned, at a certain frequency or a level, then it's going to tap into that particular portion of our brain that feeds into that. Can you tap into that as well?
Yeah, man. You know, it's like the more, there was a scripture that says, with great knowledge comes great sorrow. And these statements and conversations are the reason why some people rather take the blue pill in the matrix and say, no, that's all right. Just, because it's like the more that is revealed to you is disturbing. So in the most general sense, humans are electrical beings, and the whole universe in general operates off frequencies and waves and energy. So those that are aware of truly how music works and harmonics and things of that nature, they have discovered that certain frequencies and megahertz, as he said, can be played that will access the brain in different ways. I spoke about how you have the alpha, beta, theta, and delta um, waves of brain state. Now, children like between 6 and below, they're always in theta. That's why that's the most crucial time frame for children to learn, because they always in theta. So everything you're saying, everything they're hearing, seeing is going right into their subconscious mind. As we age and get older, our brain frequency switches so that we walk around, I believe, mostly in beta. So you have a little more control of what goes straight into your subconscious. Well, when you play certain music frequencies, and as he said, repetitions and things of that nature, then you begin to go past the conscious mind and you begin to tap into their subconscious, because it's almost a hypnotic state, because you're repeating frames and music. If you even listen to certain people talk that have studied and mastered NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, it's called neuro, brain, nerves, linguistic, language programming. So they can program you through speaking in certain ways, in certain tones, certain levels. So when you hear certain salespeople and speakers that speak real funny, like, why are they talking like that? They're using NLP. They're speaking in certain ways for certain things to stand out more and get planted into your subconscious.
Yep. It's the syncopations, it's the rhythm, it's the tone, which is why our voice, I don't think a lot of people understand the significance of the power of the voice. It is a true instrument. It is a true instrument. And so I go back to, my meditation principles, and I go back to my meditation techniques and practices. And the first sound was that ow. That first sound is not only is it transformative, but it's rhythmic, and it's also it's also a way that you can have that universal connection with all that there is, quote unquote, the universe, however people see that. That how you open your mouth, let out that sound, and it's done in a particular way, you will be surprised on an energetic level what that does. It is deeper than I think what a lot of people understand. And I had to be a little, conscious of it myself, because I was like, kind of going crazy for a little bit. Like, wait, did I, you start moving into a space that I don't think the mind is capable of being able to handle.
This is true. There are realms of knowledge and things that, like you said, a lot of things were purposely kept away because of the benefit that it can have. If I can keep you entertained and entangled with foolishness, then I'll keep you distracted from learning the true power that lies within. The Bible says we're fearfully and wonderfully made. I studied massage therapy, and I can tell you without a shadow of a doubt, this body was strategically designed. It is designed. Everything works perfectly together. The insertion points, the origins, the eye, the way the eye, the body is amazing. And I think a part of the overall agenda is reducing the importance of human life. Check this out.
Wow.
When you look at Vietnam, it's about dehumanization. It's about dehumanization. When you look at Vietnam, they trained and programmed the soldiers to call the Vietnamese gooks, Gooks. What happens when you call them gooks? You dehumanize it. That's not Phi Hong, that's not Wong, that's not whoever it is. Them is gooks. And you kill the gooks and we go home. Well, watch this, people. What's the terminology that's being used in today's streets more than ever? The ops.
Kill the ops? Can you go into that?
Yeah. It's short for opposition. But now that's permeated the culture. That's a Chicago term. Now everybody says because of the blanketed music. And in Iraq, in the Middle East, we were told they called them Hajis, for a lack of a better term. Haji. So you don't look at Muhammad, you don't look at Ali, you don't look at whoever them the Hajis, and you kill the Hajis, and we can go about our business. So what I'm saying is the dehumanization programming makes it easier for a person to kill another person or do harm because you remove the human aspect. In the generalist sense, humans are not trained or really okay with hurting another human being. That's like an internal thing that's within us. We'd rather not hurt someone unless we really had to. But the more you program that pain, that anger, that rage, and that pitting against one another, oh no, I don't care if you look like me. Let's go kill them. They wearing the wrong color. Let's go ride. We ain't gonna talk about nothing. We shooting up both sides of the block. Like, wow. I don't care who outside. Whoever out there getting hit. These are the real mentalities of our children. And I got a problem with it.
Absolutely. We should all have a problem with it. That's why we're having a conversation. You know, let's pull that scab off. So let's take everybody back to the beginning.
No problem.
Let's give everybody a little bit of a history lesson. I don't know why I can't talk today. But let's let's take it back to the beginning. Let's take it back to Beat Break. Let's take it back to the Apollo. Let's take it back to DJ Cool Hero and Love Bug Starsky. Tell everybody how did hip hop begin? Give everybody a history lesson.
So one thing that people got to realize, hip hop is a culture. Hip hop was then at the origination was a culture. You know, you had the Black Spades, the Seven. You had those guys in New York who was a neighborhood group of people. Then they became a gang, really for the sake of protecting one another. And then the drugs got involved, so the money got involved, so the violence got involved, and they kind of began to lose sight of what it was all about. It's amazing. It always seems to happen. You know what I'm saying? So long story short, you had DJ Kool Herc, you had Love Bug, Stark Ski, and these guys was out just having fun. The urban plight. We're broke blacks in America. Let's have fun the way we know how to have fun. They'll put out the turntables and they'll have these block parties and stuff. And it wasn't about the rapper back then. It was about the DJ. So it was the scratching, it was the mixing, it was the break dancing. Me and my wife was just watching the video with Turbo and them, that segment from the breaks from back in the day. That was the culture. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, of course there was fights and stuff, but they would beat battle. They would just get up. That's how they would handle the situation. And it was the graffiti and all. So it was a culture. Then they began to make music, but it wasn't about what we see now. It was about expressing themselves. It was about having fun. It was about manifesting the gifts that they had as blacks and sticking together. This is what we have as a community. It was true black love and black empowerment. That's how it started in New York. So I don't care the most down south folk that you talk to, if they're from 80s, 90s, they're gonna always refer back to the cats from New York because they were the originators of hip hop. That culture called hip hop.
Give it up to the Bronx. Give it up to New York, everybody. Just starting it off.
Do it because that's where it originated. Then you got the cats, you know, and you know, like with Houston with Ghetto Boys and them, like Scarface and Willie D, and they gonna always, and the cats in the West Coast, they gonna always say, well, you know, I was listening to the Flash Five or Grandmaster Flash or you know Melly Mel. They always refer to these cats because these were the grandfathers of the music.
Yep.
And then they'll put their spin on it, and then they'll try this or their southern drawl, and you know that's how it began to evolve from the geographical locations. But it all started in the East Coast in New York City.
Absolutely. And speaking of which, because we're gonna shift into these regions as you mentioned. What I like about it, because one of the things that you said that really kind of resonated with me is culture and how each subculture around the country has its own unique contribution.
Yes.
Right. So since New York started it all, right? You talk about Beat Break. You talk about the big sound systems that the guys used to carry on their shoulders. You know what I'm
The ghetto
saying?
blasters.
Radio Raheem, all of that. Let's talk about some of the artists that kind of shaped it. KRS-One. You know what I'm saying? And some of the labels,
Oh
Def
man.
Jam, right?
And we can
How?
boost it.
Yeah.
Go ahead. No,
So
but
in
go
yeah.
ahead. Sorry, go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
So in terms of KRS-One, you got Def Jam. You have just that core focus, right? How much do you think that New York is still relevant today as it relates to being the originator and still being relevant today? Because I don't think New York's relevant today.
No, not as they once were. I would
Yeah.
say that, and I want to come back to KRS-One specifically because it's something stood out there in that story.
Yeah.
But you got the new cats like Pop Smoke and the Wu. Now, see, that's very interesting in and of itself. Excuse me, because it goes back to that gangsterism where actual gang members are getting on the microphone, and of course, it has happened throughout rap. But you got actual gang members, so like Pop Smoke and some of them other cats, Bobby Shmurda and these guys were actual gang members, Crips and things of that nature. So they got almost a New York drill type of scene that is relevant now.
Yep.
Again, Pop Smoke is one of the most recent ones. Unfortunately, God rest his soul. Bobby Shmurda's back home. I don't know what they about to do. Rowdy Rebel, I believe his name is. So they're nowhere near as relevant as they once were. Like, well, my bad, New York. They're not as relevant as they once
Hey, I'm saying
were.
that.
Yeah, I can't say nowhere near, but
Yeah.
we know, at one time it was like pinnacle status. It's like, man, everything was New York, but
Everything.
right now it's not the way it used to be. So yeah, they got a buzz. Yeah, they got music playing, but it's nowhere near. That's why I said it's nowhere near where it was like everything was New York. Wu-Tang and Busta and Queensbridge with Nas and Jay-Z. Like everything was NY. It's not like that no more. It's like, yeah, New York too cool, but look what Atlanta doing. Look what Texas doing. Look what Georgia doing. Look what everybody else doing. New York's still in the game. Yeah, they're in the game too. But look what everybody else doing.
Right.
That's why I said that.
Absolutely.
So
Coming out of New York a little bit, let's head to the South, right? So you got Atlanta, you have New Orleans, you have what did I say? Because I got a whole lot of notes here. You got M-Town,
man,
right? Mississippi,
yeah,
Big Crit, you got DJ Spanish Fly, you got 3-6 Mafia, Trap,
man.
right?
Yeah.
It's all, and see, I think the South is probably the most diverse as it relates to hip hop.
Yeah.
But I don't really think of gang culture in
No,
the South.
not
I
the
don't
same
think of that at all. That's not the first thing that comes to my mind.
West Coast. Yeah,
Absolutely, it's a whole different swag.
it
How
is.
in terms of gangster rap, and how would you say that has influenced the South, and maybe that's the reason why there's so many different genres in the South as it relates to rap?
Well, I think, just like anything, language is important. And it's just the little nuances of humanity. And what I mean by that is sometimes we want to be technical. Sometimes we don't want to be technical. Because technically, you look at the games, like I said, with Snoop or the game, or, some of the other cats that's well known for banging, that's like actually actual gang bangers. Then you got those that's affiliated. We'll call that gangster. But again, the gangster persona of just committing crimes and living that reckless life. Because, look at 3-6 Mafia. That was one of my biggest influence. I listened to them for many, many years.
Yeah.
None of them was as far as I know. Now, because, Memphis, you got the GDs and the Vice Lords. You got those gangs. So they're not lesser known, so to speak, but they don't have the prevalence of the Bloods and the Crips. So whenever people, it's like gang, Blood, Crip. That's just everybody blanketed. But you got the GDs, the VLs, the Black Disciples, things of that nature. Because with Chicago, and I'm gonna bring it back down south, a lot of those rappers was in that. Lil Durk and King Von and all them. A lot of
Yep.
those guys are actual gang members and offshoots that were having issues within their set. But when you got like Memphis, you got like I don't think Pooh Shiesty's a blood, but Gucci Mane's a blood.
Yeah.
Jeezy was a Crip or Crip related, Crip affiliated. So I hope I'm kind of on task, but it was like that mixture of some of these boys is actual gang members. A lot of them ain't. They just in the streets. And I'm from this zone in Atlanta, or I'm from this side of town, South Memphis, North Memphis, West Memphis. But they all come with their gritty, grimy sound, and it just swept the nation, man. Especially 3 6 Mafia. I think they never got anywhere near the credit that they deserve for changing the whole culture. You can't take that away from them. They changed the whole culture, man. From sipping syrup to riding spinners. 3 6 Mafia deserves way more credit than they ever got.
And an Oscar. You can't, I mean, not to say that, I think certain people have a certain level of distinction. And for some people in entertainment, the Oscar is the pinnacle. For me, it's BET. It's the NAACP Awards. I got a different level of respect, I think, when it comes to appreciation and artistry. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Let's move into like the Midwest, like the Chicago, St. Louis with Nelly, the Lunatics.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, man. Like, it's like I said, it's one of those things where it's like, if you look back, it was a slow evolution. They made us like the gangster rhythm. They made you like it. They made it everything about that. I'm gonna touch on KRS-One. I'm gonna come right back to Nelly because I wanted to speak on that. KRS-One started rapping gangster music, Criminal Minded, all of that. His homeboy got killed, changed his mindset. He began conscious. Check that out.
Yeah,
that's a real life situation. Criminal Minded, you've been blind. It was all gangster criminal stuff. His homeboy gets murdered. The pain of that murder changed his direction in music. He began to empower blacks and uplift blacks and educate blacks. They phased that type of stuff out. No. You got Nas. Nas talk street stuff, but to me, not hardcore gangsterism. Nas talk street stuff, but not hardcore gangsterism. Too much empowerment, bro. We got to get you out of here too. Then you got like Nelly. Nelly made good music. Melly made club music, he made dancing. We all remember Tip Drill, that was big and all that type of stuff. But he still had a little sprinkle of the St. Louis street, rap, come through with the street sweeper and all that. But it wasn't over the top gangsterism. Then, the Lunatics and all that. And then you got like Chicago with Twista, who changed the game. Twista was on some hardcore street stuff. But like I said in the book, I didn't see him as overly gangster. You know what I'm saying? He talks street stuff, pimping, money, drugs, but not like over the top gangsterism. Then you got these guys, like with the drill scene in Chicago. And man, so many deaths. And this is where I do see the influence. So many deaths because of this drill music. Because these boys, they took a whole nother level to disrespect, to, it's like, forget entertainment. We shot somebody last week. We rapping about it today. The street we was on, how he dropped when we shot him, like just madness. So it's like they want, and I think it's a blend of that social media culture, because social media, even though there's a level of entertainment from about it, social media brought this broadcasting voyeurism type of lifestyle to it, where you gotta show and be as real as possible.
Yeah.
Even people getting shot dead on live stream. Hey, bro, I'm filming right now. I'm live. We don't care. Boom, boom, boom. Gun them down. Like that's how twisted it got with this drill music. And the things that these guys was rapping about. And
Marquise, talk a little bit about drill music for those who don't know. And just so you all know, Yeah, I'm out of touch, as some of y'all like to joke. But I just found out about what drill music. I just found out about what drill music is today. Like literally, just found it out. Um, Talk a little bit about what that is.
How do I sound on your end? Because it
You're good.
sounds a little robotic on my end. I
You
don't
sound
know.
good.
Okay.
Yeah, loud and clear.
Okay, cool. So when it comes to drill music, drill is an interesting genre because it literally means to go attack or to go kill somebody. So hey, it's right here. This is what our music is about. So it ain't about partying. It ain't about getting money. It ain't about hustling. It ain't about having a good time. It's we going to kill the ops. Go drill somebody. So the music was created. I think the young brother name was Pac-Man. He's dead. And then it
Wow.
just another artist made a song, and then another artist made a song. Then they started dissing, and then again they was going to shoot somebody, and they would go right in the studio and rap about it. They would shoot somebody, they go right in the studio and rap about it till it just got out of hand. But the amazing thing about influence is that music, because of the power of the internet, planted itself thousands of miles away in the United Kingdom, in England. Because a lot of times, naturally, people hear England, we thinking of Caucasian people. But there's a lot of black people that's about that gangster life for real
Absolutely.
in,
Absolutely.
in the UK. And one of the movie shows that showed that was it Shadows? Not Shadows. What the name of that? Top. I forgot. I wrote it in the
Top
book.
Cat.
Huh?
There was a Top Cat.
No, not Top Cat. It was called. I wrote about it in the book.
Actually, I'm sorry. It's actually on Netflix too. It's Top Boy.
Top Boy.
Top Boy. Yeah.
Yes, that joke was off the chain, and they was about that life. They was about that life. So that music of drill planted itself in the UK, and they started making similar beats, rapping about it, very dark, devilish looking videos with the masks. Now you know UK different with guns. Like with England, it's more knives and stuff. You can't really have guns. So like all these assault rifles and pistols that you would normally see in Chicago videos, you don't see that in UK drill because you know England they don't do guns like that. Like they just kind of took guns from their citizens. But the imagery, the mindset, the violence that came along with it, it showed up over there as well. So the power of drill, and that's what I was saying, it even hit New York. So drill kind of died down in Chicago, but it had little babies popping up. Because you had DC with Fat Trail, Slutty Boys, Glory Boys. They had their version of drill. Then you had, like I said, New York with the Woo Cats, which is, you know, Woo is a sect of Crip gang. And then you had, again, the UK boys. So it kind of died in Chicago, but sprouted in other places. And it's still big to this day because Pop Smoke was birthed out of that New York drill. Gotcha. And he just recently passed. So there you go.
Wow. This goes so deep, man. This goes so deep. Everybody, again, we have the incredible author, Marquise Trent, which is the author of the book Overstanding Volume 1, a comprehensive look at gangster rap, its subgenres, and their effect on our generations. And we're continuing to have a conversation that, you know, we're peeling back the layers on hip hop. If you're a student of hip hop, I want you to go get this book. It reads like a student would want to have, a deeper analysis, a deeper look into the culture itself, right? So continuing with the conversation with the West Coast, NWA, Snoop, the list goes on and on. How do you think that the West Coast has separated itself from or being a standout, I would say, in gangster rap?
Man, the West Coast, it's like it take me back to a child. You know, I'm an 80s baby, you know, raised in the 90s. And that was that era. You know what I'm saying? Snoop, one of my favorite genres, which I kind of wish was still around, was G-Funk.
Oh, G-Funk, wow.
Like, see the nostalgia that fell in your face. G-Funk was so amazing. where you could tell real tales. It had the bounce and the bop. It don't matter where you was from. Like, you know, Warren G regulators. Like, my God, man, you play a song like that. It was just amazing. You know, then you had different cats like MC8, which was a more hardcore street gangster tales. Mac 10, you know, of course, Snoop Dogg. When I was like, man, coming up, you know, Doggy Style drop, and I was like, who is this dude? What's my motherfucking name? Snoop Dogg. We was like, bro, who is this guy? And he was so pimpalicious and swagged out. You fell in love with him, you know what I'm saying? And
Yep.
but it's like, man, when Game hit, you took 50 being a New York kid, but the Game gave such a breath of fresh air to classic gangsterism, but class. Like, Game had such class and finesse and that deep, guttural, you know, bass filled, manly voice that when he just came and rough, it just, man, like, Game really just changed the game. You know what I'm saying? So I think like everybody, you know, had loved that. But it's like when NWA hit the scene, man, like, man, it was over. It was over. It was over. Like, people didn't know what to do. I don't think nobody knew what to do. Even blacks in the hood there, you was like, bro, like, these dudes is crazy. Like, straight out of Compton. Man, it's like, whoa. And anybody that was bold enough to make a song that says "F the police" was like, what do you say? They were saying what many blacks were feeling because of the injustices that they were perpetuating on our people.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that's just one of those things, man. They became a voice. But like I said, and I don't want to touch it to that yet, but like you look at Corrupt and, you know, just all these cats. But it was interesting to see they were so evolved, because then you move to the hyphy movement with like E40, Keek the Sneak, these cats. And it's like, it's funny. I was just with some of my people recently, and they from Cali. I'm from the my wife from the that's what we call Richmond. So we a melting pot anyway. We ain't just got our own music. We got people that make music, but it's not like a broad music. So we always get the blending of best from both worlds, from New York cats down, from, you know what I'm saying, the South on up. But to see these people, they put on some hyphy music. Now, I was blessed, like I said, with all of my different experiences to be around so many different types of peoples and cultures. So I knew what it was. My wife was looking like, what is that? You know, right. What is that?
Yeah.
And I was like, that's hyphy music. That's hyphy. And she was like, hype. I'm like, yeah, that's hype. Why? Because these people from Cali, that's their subgenre culture that they get excited about, because that's where they're from. By me having that knowledge, I knew. But you play that in Richmond for some people, they're like, bro, if you don't turn that zone off right now, like, but that's their culture and their language and the swag. And so it's amazing to see how everybody responds to their music. However, and I'm going to be quiet after this, there are certain things because of the mainstream that it became universal. You can play crunk anywhere, it's universal.
Absolutely.
You can play trap anywhere, it's universal. You might can get away with go-go, but I don't know.
Yep, absolutely. Let's talk about now that we've sort of went through all of the different regions and, you know, sort of given a breakdown on artists, you know, the different, you know, characteristics of the different regions as it relates to rap. Let's look at some of the influences, right? Let's talk about drug use and cocaine.
True.
Right? I didn't grow up listening to that. You know, I came up in the 80s. You know, I'm 80s and mostly 90s, I would say. Mm-hmm. You know, I'm 40 years old. I was born in 80. So I came up with, again, KRS-One. I came up with, I don't know, MC Hammer, shit, you know, stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I could go on, but it wasn't until I was maybe about 8 that Two Live Crew hit the scene. Right. And it wasn't until after that, you know, NWA. And so I had this exposure to again, New York hip hop, where everything was all about. I think probably the most controversial song was Special K. I Got a Man. That was, I mean, everybody, but it was catchy. You know what I'm saying? But everything else was just such on a positive tone. It was about dancing, you know, and all of that other stuff that was sort of, you know, factored into it. But when we talk about this drug culture, like sipping on scissor and lean and all different other kinds of things, how did that happen? And or tell everybody how it happened and how it has devastated the community because of influence and repetition.
That's it, man.
Yeah.
It's one of those things because, like I said in the book, Gangsta Rap didn't cause these things. They exacerbated and almost like a cancer metastasized, so to speak. It spreaded it like so. Of course, in a neighborhood near you, people was using coke. People were smoking reefer, as the old heads would say. We smoking reefer. They rolling joints and things of that nature. Tuss, you know, CERT was out back then. Like nothing is new, but it won't like, from my opinion and understanding, like widespread. And it was like a few folks would do it. You know what I'm saying? And of course, few could be hundreds, sprinkled. But the rap music to me made it culturally acceptable and culturally it spread it out. So for instance, the song White Lines that I talked about in the book, at first they were celebrating coke. White lines. But then, check this out.
Mm-hmm.
In the earlier stages, they was like, I don't think this is a good look for our career. So let's flip it. They said white lines, don't do it.
Right.
So it was kind of hypocritical. Listen to what I'm about to say. Listen to what I'm about to say, y'all. It was kind of hypocritical because although I can't prove it, they was probably snorting blow when the shows was over.
Right.
However, on a mass scale for the culture, it was safety. So I'm gonna say that again.
Okay.
Even though it was probably hypocritical because their song said white lines don't do it, and they probably hit the hotel room with an ounce of coke and girls and they just getting naked having a great time, but they didn't want to use the power and influence of music to spread that as a lifestyle throughout our communities. That's what I'm saying.
Well,
so even though it was being done, you know, heroin, you know what I'm saying, 70s, you know, going to the 80s, then you got the blow. Then, like you said, you know, once they found out that they could rock it up and crack cocaine and, you know, then it became, you know, more widespread. Then, like you said, with 3-6 and lean, the music that you hear, there's a concept in psychology called modeling. Humans naturally model. Everybody model. I don't care how grown you is.
Yep.
I don't care how independent you are. Modeling is one of the most simplistic humanistic behaviors that we all do. You do what you see people do. And if there's any level of admiration, pay attention, any level of admiration in your heart for the people that you're looking at, you're influenced by them. So if your favorite rapper, who you listen to religiously, is talking about pouring the foe in a Fanta, translation, pouring 4 fluid ounces of promethazine into a strawberry soda so they can sip it and move slow because they sip it. Maybe not number 1, maybe not number 5, but maybe the 57th time that you listen to that song, you say, man, shoot, my cousin got lean. Let me go scope a bag and just see how I feel, because all you heard is sipping on some syrup, or, you know, it was another song that I listened to many, many years ago. But you'll go try it. Even if nobody knows, it's just
Mary Jane.
Experiential. You go pay $20, get you an ounce, get you a soda, pour it, and try it. You're like, man, this feels pretty good. A week later, you try it again. Man, this feels pretty good. 2 days later, you try it again. 3 weeks later, you on 2 ounces.
Wow.
Now you've developed a habit of sipping lean because the song that you've listened to so many times repetitively got in your heart. that you stepped out to give it a try one time.
Well,
Now you sip syrup.
well. The other thing that you reference in your book is sexuality, right? And this covers everything from, in my mind, when I read it, the first thing that came to my mind was Big Pimpin', right, with Jay-Z.
Yeah.
So not only that, so you got Big Pimpin', wow, and plus artists like Megan, Cardi, right? I think it's an interesting dynamic there because you got women who don't want to be sexualized, men who see images of sexualized women in their videos, right? Nobody's putting a gun, they're not kidnapping these women to do that, right? But then you also have women like Cardi, like Megan, like Saweetie, that they reinforce it. You know what I'm saying? So talk to us a little bit about that.
Man, that's definitely one that's near and dear to me, man, because this is about, and this is my personal philosophy, but I know a lot of men relate. In the most general sense, I believe men don't want women that have had promiscuous past and background.
That's
As
true.
a man, it is our innate programming to plant your seed, sperm, into a woman that you desire to be with and have her to be your own. Now, of course, you'll go, as they say, sow your wild oats in the most general sense, but listen to what I'm saying. Men that go sow their wild oats generally have no heartfelt connection with these women. They look at it as a sexual encounter. I got mine. If you got any pride in yourself as a man, you might say, shoot, I made sure she got hers too, because you want to beat your chest. But long as you got yours, you like, shoot, I don't care. I ain't thinking nothing about her. She was objectified. I got mine, cool. So when you look at, in the most general sense, thought culture, what is thought mean? It's an acronym. Even though it's never displayed as an acronym, thought stands for that hoe over there.
Right.
Men, in the most general sense, don't want to see themselves wife and hoes. Why? You hit her, your boy hit her, dude around the street hit her, so many guys. Now, women, it's your body, you can do what you want, but this is what I say. After speaking with multiple women who have pasts, I would venture to say 8 out of 10 of the ones I talked about, they're haunted back. There's no pleasure that comes from it. And it can have many reasons. It could have been a rape. It could have been a molestation. It could just be rebellion against daddy. But when I speak to these women, especially when they bear children out of these situations, there's never, and again, I say this with no judgment, no shame to anybody. I'm speaking my piece because this is a very serious topic to me. I have daughters. They don't find pleasure in it. They don't hold their head high. They don't hold their head high about that. So when you have a culture that, WAP, this on WAP, and, just this thought culture where it's okay to be wild and loose with yourself, to me, it only brings regret. No man wants to know or believe that his little princess, who he loves, in 15 years, 18 years, gonna have somebody running the train on her. Excuse my vulgarity. But
no, go ahead.
Nobody's going to rejoice when they found out, 3 dudes is in a hotel room with your little daughter smoking weed, snorting powder, and they banging her out for 3 hours. Like, who gonna want to wife her after that? That
That's
knows
true.
about it.
Yeah, and know
That's
about
why
it.
a lot of men would say, you know what, bro? This is our safe cop out. We all got a pass. I don't even want to know. Because once we know, we can't unknow, and it haunts you to think, well, dang, I wonder, shoot, I'm enjoying this stroke right now. I wonder how many other dudes were stroking it. I'm coming in her right now. I wonder how many other dudes she let come in. She ain't use a condom with me. I wonder if she used a condom with him. Like,
Absolutely.
negative thoughts that continue to come. Ask me how I know. I've been through it,
We've been
but I
through
know
it.
other men that tell me, bro, I can't stop thinking about this, though, bro.
Yeah.
But that's the curse of the man. Why? Because the scripture says the glory of the man is his woman. There's a special nature that a man has for his woman. So when you got women like Megan Thee Stallion that don't even act like that, she's a very educated, and I ain't saying you can't be ratchet, have a little ratcheted fun, but she's a very educated, very classy woman. But this industry has taken her, offered her the bag, and now she got daughters everywhere across the country just slutting themselves out. Cardi B just slutting themselves out all for the bag. But Cardi B wouldn't even let her daughter listen to that song. And it got put
No,
on social media. And everybody
absolutely.
talked about it.
Absolutely. But you know what? I think that there's an interesting dichotomy with that, because on one point she like we I think that the people who are impressionable by this music, they don't see this as art. They don't see it as they don't see it as entertainment. They don't see it as this is these people's jobs who have signed contracts for X, Y, and Z. They look at it as fantasy. They look at it as, wow, I wish I could do this or that. You know what I'm saying? And so they get pulled into this slippery slope and detached from reality completely. So we're coming up on time here. So I want to close out with one final question that's sort of looped around all of these things that we talked about, right? And having the agenda. I want to go back to the agenda. You were closing towards the end of the book when you were closing out. You mentioned that there was a secret meeting, right? And with industry execs and different powers that be around YouTube. And it was the meeting was called the secret meeting that changed rap music and destroyed a generation, and how it is connected and tied into prison. Closing out, can you give us some context around what that meeting was about? I kind of think it was a little, I don't know, kind of conspiracy theory. And I know you touched on that in the book as well, sort of framing that. But can you enlighten everybody about what that
Absolutely.
is and how it's tied in?
So some time ago, there was supposed to be a whistleblower that came out and said, hey, y'all, there was this meeting that happened amongst some industry executives about the new direction that music was going to go for the sake of profitability. Now, I never knew many years ago that prison was an industry that was profitable that people could actually invest in. I always saw like a state ran thing, a federal ran thing, you know. But I talked about Civic Corps and other companies. All of this can be Googled and verified that were in cahoots with the states. One of the most painful facts that I share with people that I believe is Kentucky or Kansas. Forgive me if I stated the state wrong, but they actually had a contractual agreement with the company to have 100% or at least 90% quota to have the beds within the prison field. And if the state does not meet that requirement, that company would sue the state for not filling the beds. Check that out. A private prison had a contractual business agreement with the state. And if the state did not meet the quota, I'm going to just say 75%. Having 75% of these beds filled with inmates, then they would take them to court and sue them. And there was an actual case that I reference in the book that the state was sued and lost a few $1 million.
Wow.
Lost a few $1 million. So what does that mean for us? Because the state is what runs the police. Hello, somebody. So this ain't hearsay. These is facts. So you see the broader picture, and it's up to us to look through to discern what it looks like on ground. So I painted the picture to say, I believe the meeting could have happened, just like I say about conspiracy. It's only conspiracy till we see it happening.
Right.
What will we see happening? Well, what we see is this wave of gangster music. Phase out KRS-One, phase out Nas, phase out Black Panthers, even though that was a group, phase out anybody that wants to speak to the empowerment of blacks and browns, phase these voices out that's going to awaken them to the true nature of who they are, the power that they have, and what they can do in this nation. Fill their hearts with drugs, money, guns, violence, and promiscuity, with the drugs to go along with it, and they'll always be in a state of stupor to never recognize their power. By the way, we got contractual agreements across the country with these prisons, which if they run around with lean, weed, and illegal weapons, they're going to catch charges. And when they catch charges, where are they going? They're going to the private prisons. So there was supposed to be a meeting of some executives that said, hey, we about to institute a whole nother type of music, and it's going to be fully gangster rap. And we in partners with these guys because we're putting shares into these private prisons, Global Tail Link, Bob Barker, all of these companies. So this what we're doing with the music. This is the effect it's going to have on the culture. And then on the back end, we're going to have all these prisons filled up. Which one of y'all down? Some people say, I can't even believe it. I can't deal with it. But others got in on it.
Well, that's so, deep, man.
That's let's look at what we're seeing and wonder if it happened. That's why I say I don't know if the Willie Lynch letters actually happened, but I can look at the cultural effects of blacks amongst each other to believe it's quite possible that Willie Lynch stood on the riverbanks and told them, this is what we've been using for our slaves in the West Indies, and if you do this, it's going to work. I don't know if it happened, but I sure see the evidences of it.
That's, wow. I mean, it's very often that I'm speechless, but when I read that, I was like, I'm so happy that you're here to talk about this, man.
I appreciate you, man. I really do.
God has a way of bringing people to an alignment, God, yes, universe, whatever people believe, right? And I just think that it's divine intervention, just in terms of us being able to cross paths and give people this message, for us to meet, for me to continue to promote this book, because I think that this book it's filled with not just, again, people, if you are a fan of hip hop, yes. But the question is, if you are a fan of anything, what do you truly know about it? What do you truly know about it? How well have you done your critical investigation on what you are programming your mind with? Wow. And if you are a student of hip hop, even if you are a student of life and a student of yourself, you owe yourself to read this book. Closing out, thank you for coming on again. Marquise, tell everybody where they can find your content, booking you for a forum where you can actually come in and give more insight into your life, your story, this book, and so much more.
I appreciate it. Well, the simplest thing is go to my website, which is my name, Marquise, Marquise Trent, Trent.com. You go to MarquiseTrent.com. You can order the book. I'm actually running a special, a bundle. If you order the T-shirt, Think Different, Live Different, you'll get a free copy of the book, Overstanding. So if you go to MarquiseTrent.com and click shop, you'll be able to see the bundle deal on there. You order the T-shirt, you'll get the book free. Have the contact information on there. Again, as you said, I'm available. I'm an empowerment speaker, so I speak in schools, churches, juvenile detention centers. I do virtual, but things are opening back up. And if that's in your budget, I'd love to come out in person and do that. I also teach people how to write books. So if you have a story that you would like to tell, that's a part of what I do, is in authorship coaching, because I believe their stories are important. Everybody can use their story, like you said, the power of the voice to change lives. So, and I'm also wearing my own brand, Lord Save My City. So I'm not just talking about this stuff. I'm actively engaged in bringing about the change and righting some of the wrongs that I had a part in doing. And I just want to impact the nation. So, Brian, I thank you so much for this opportunity. Look forward to connecting again. But yep, MarquiseTrent.com. Follow me on social media. My YouTube is the same, Marquise Trent. And I'm dropping videos multiple times a week, reading through the book. I'm doing reaction videos about some of the violence and just tapping into the mindset. I just love God and I love people, man. I just want to leave my mark on this world before I leave here. So yeah.
You already, I think you have. You not only have you left a mark and a legacy, but I think you've left an inspiration for people to sort of aspire towards. So, brother, thank you again for coming on. Everybody, enjoy the rest of your weekend. Again, follow Marquise Trent. Marquise Trent, in terms of his website, all of his social media, just type in his name, Marquise Trent. Again, I'll be back soon for the second season of Brian Reveal Show, and more to come. Have a good
Thanks.
afternoon.
Appreciate y'all.